Doreen Green is a college student with a big bushy tail, the proportional physical abilities of a human-sized squirrel, and the ability to talk to actual squirrels. She uses all three of these powers to fight crime as the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Dude, did you just give away my secret identity?
What? No, I'm just recapping one of your adventures. It's kind of my job.
Well, you're not talking to the people in my universe, are you?
No.
Oh, well then that sounds awesome! Carry on.
This might surprise some of you guys here, but I love Squirrel Girl. She's one of my favorite Marvel superheroes, if not one of my favorite superheroes of all time. Now, I'm not going to pretend that's always been the case. I've always been a casual fan, enjoying just how insanely overpowered she is for starters. Let's not forget she's conically beaten the likes of Doctor Doom, Wolverine, Thanos, and even Galactus. I've also enjoyed her unusual power set. The fact that most other Marvel characters never really seem to know what to make of her, and she's by far the most fun character to play in LEGO Marvel superheroes. I mean, you can spend hours just chucking squirrels at people, and they make little chip sounds when you do it. It's incredible! No, I jumped on board the Squirrel Girl fandom the same way a lot of people these days did. Through her own ongoing series released in January 2015, The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, written by Ryan North with art by Erica Henderson. And there's a good reason why the character's recent revival has proven to be such a hit with fans. The way they've changed and evolved the character is absolutely brilliant, that both embraces the inherent goofiness of the character and her power set, but also makes her stand out as a genuinely well-rounded, respectable, relatable, and impossible not to like woman. It's also the only comic I've read in recent memory that openly acknowledges the fact that, psst, guys, the concept of superheroes is kinda silly when you really stop and think about it. Now, that's not to say that it's saying that's a bad thing, far from it. It's a series that openly celebrates the silliness while also updating it to match the times, with a leading character that I genuinely believe is a great, if not one of the best, role models for the modern age. Now, if you're not familiar with the character or the series in question, I know what you're thinking. Squirrel Girl? Really? Well, let me explain. I talked at great lengths in my last editorial why I think we need superheroes now more than ever. And while I'm not going to reiterate all my points here, the one I want to emphasize is that I believe that superheroes can encourage us to be better, whether it's through fighting their own demons or conquering seemingly impossible odds. Each hero has their own unique story to tell, how they come to face adversity, and how they eventually overcome it. But the approach that Ryan North has chosen to take with Squirrel Girl makes her stand apart from her other Marvel counterparts in the best way possible. Because while other superheroes often fall into sadness, doubt, and despair as they struggle against forces seeking to push them down, Squirrel Girl tackles her problems, and really all aspects of her life, with something that is exceptionally rare within the superhero community: a positive attitude. Now, to be clear, that's not to say that most superheroes don't think positive from time to time. I made a whole video about how I think Superman is a symbol of optimism, but there's something to be said for a superhero whose love and passion for life, people, superheroics, and doing good lead her every decision. While most well-known superheroes are plagued with doubt, sadness, fear, what have you, there isn't a negative bone in Squirrel Girl's body. Everything she approaches with a sense of wonder and excitement, so loving every moment of her life, no matter what bad things are happening in the present moment. Her enthusiasm never wanes, never falters, and her radiant positivity is infectious not only to the people around her, but also to us, the readers, cheering right alongside her. Squirrel Girl stands as direct opposition to the cynicism that can often be seen in darker comic book series or even heroes. It's a special kind of positive attitude that doesn't come from naivete and lack of awareness on how the real world works like many people might automatically assume. She's actually a very intelligent woman with a sound scientific mind, particularly towards programming, and a passion towards learning more that only seems to add to her positive outlook on the world. She doesn't ignore the bad things in the world to focus only on the good. That's not what real positivity means. She sees the bad and how crummy things can be, but still wholeheartedly believes, possibly even more than Superman, that everyone has incredible potential for good, if only they would see it for themselves. While others brood and lament in the dark tragedy of existence, Squirrel Girl is championing the best qualities of humanity and wants to bring it out in everyone, including the villains. Which leads to what is quite possibly her greatest and most admirable quality. Not just as a superhero, but as a human being. Her desire to understand. A common thread throughout her stories in The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl is that Squirrel Girl will often try to use words instead of fists and squirrels to save the day. That's not to say she doesn't do her fair share of fighting, but unlike so many other superheroes in the Marvel Universe, when the opportunity arises, she will absolutely sit down with the villains and try to learn and understand from their perspectives. And you know what? She's really good at it. Her first story involves a conflict with Kraven the Hunter, and while she does initially try the old-fashioned way of the fist, she does eventually approach him as an equal, finds out what he's looking for, and offers an alternative solution that not only satisfies him, but also earns his respect. Squirrel Girl earns the respect of Kraven the Hunter simply by trying to find common ground. And this isn't the only time she does this. She tries this with just about every villain she encounters. Does it work all the time? Of course not. Sometimes a villain is going to be a villain and there's not much you can do about it. They're just too set in their ways. But it's the fact that she tries to reach out that makes all the difference. She sees them as more than just a bad guy, but as a person, and she talks to them like people. And in doing so, not only teaches important lessons about the power of empathy, compassion, understanding, and diplomacy, but also the unintended consequences of these actions as well. One of the most interesting stories in the series is when she attempts to reach such an understanding with Mole Man. With probably one of my favorite lines in the series, "I accept the truth of your lived experience, and I'm not gonna tell you that your feelings are wrong." But he's so blown away with the fact that she's actually nice to him that he mistakes it for flirting and becomes infatuated with her. From there, the series actually delves into the importance of consent, granted in very comedic terms, but also in a way that anyone reading can understand. Her positive attitude even extends to her origin story. I mentioned in my last editorial that we often attach ourselves to the struggles of our favorite superheroes because that's what makes them the most like us, and how we can see ourselves through their eyes. Well, here, Squirrel Girl's struggles are much more innocent and low-key than you typically read in an origin story, but that somehow makes it one of the most relatable. She doesn't have a tragic backstory where the family member dies horrifically, so she vows to spend her life fighting crime. Far from it, her life growing up was actually pretty normal, with the exception that she was born different because, well, she has a giant squirrel tail and has squirrel powers. It's because of her differences, though, that she feels very insecure about who she is and what she can do, living vicariously through her favorite superheroes. She even has a Dazzler poster on a wall, which is just too amazing for words. But it's on one fateful night during a very lonely 10th birthday where she meets the first squirrel she can talk to named Monkey Joe. Yeah, she talks to squirrels, it's a whole thing, just go with it. And after she saves him from an angry corgi, again, just go with it, he asks her what her superhero name is. To which she replies that since she can't save planets like Captain America or any other superhero she considers way bigger than her, that she doesn't have anything to contribute. But then Joe just comes back with, "Why are you already deciding there's things you can't do?" And that's enough to encourage young Doreen Green to begin her path to being one of the superheroes she admires so very, very much. She doesn't let anyone stop her, discourage her, or knock her down. She believes in herself first and foremost, and eventually grows to become the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. And if that doesn't essentially summarize everything I love about this character, I don't know what will. Squirrel Girl shows time and time again the importance of a positive attitude and approach to everything you do. Her series explores how this attitude impacts her life, the varying degrees it can be helpful or harmful, and how it makes everything an adventure to be had, rather than a trial to be endured. She may have started out as a joke in the Marvel Universe, but I'd argue she's grown to much more than I think anyone expected. There's something here that I believe kids and adults can learn from through her stories. Stories you won't get from any other Marvel superhero. But if there's one big lesson to take away from the likes of Doreen Green, it'd be this. She's not called unbeatable because she defeated powerhouses like Galactus, Thanos, and Doctor Doom, but because even when the world tells her she shouldn't, she'll never stop believing in the good and potential in others, good or bad. Even when she gets upset, angry, sad, or whatever, her love for superheroes, people, and life in general will never falter or break. Her outlook on life will carry her through to the bitter, or hopefully better, end. And that is what makes her truly unbeatable. And if we can learn from her perspective, maybe we can be unbeatable too. Not much left to say, except it's time to eat nuts and kick butts. Yeah, I'll see myself out.
Where there's a city